Well, good afternoon. And we'll probably start with a couple introductory comments for myself. I'm Rick Sndyer. I'm the CEO of SensCy, and I'm very proud to be here today with two wonderful business people and wonderful people in general that are contributing to Michigan's economy. I also want to give a shout out to the Small Business Association of Michigan for helping do this event with us, with SensCy. It's a great partnership, and the two individuals you see on the screen are also prominent leaders in the Small Business Association, SBAM. And I would encourage you to be involved with that wonderful organization. The backbone of Michigan's economy are small businesses. So in terms of the people we have here today are, as I said, two very successful, wonderful business people. We have Breanne Stuart from Homewatch Caregivers of Southeast Michigan. And then we have Milan Gandhi of MedShare, the CEO of that organization. And so our goal today is to give you more information about cybersecurity. It's a topic on everyone's mind. The way I describe cybersecurity to people, it's much like having diabetes. It's a chronic illness. It's a chronic item that's going to go on your entire life. There is no cure for cybersecurity. I wish there was. The other thing is you can't be safe. You can be safer. So given that this is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we thought it'd be great to have a webinar where we can talk about a process of listening to two wonderful business people talk about how they became safer and the steps they took to go on that journey. And hopefully those lessons will be important for you or the people listening to this webinar or watching this webinar to learn from. And we look forward to your feedback afterward to let us know, hopefully we hit that mark or what else we needed to cover to do these things. So this is part of a broader series. We're continuing sort of professional education on cybersecurity to make for a safer world, particularly for small and medium-sized businesses. So with that, what I'd like to do is actually ask each one of these folk to tell us briefly about your business so we can learn more about you. And then we'll talk about your journey into cybersecurity. And I'm glad to see it's early enough in the day that no one has alcohol involved, given that we're talking about a topic that could drive people to drink. So Breanne, did you want to share some thoughts on your wonderful business?
Sure. Thanks, Rick. And thanks again for your invitation today. I am very passionate about cybersecurity, just as equal as my business in senior in-home care. Started Homewatch Caregivers 15 years ago now. Started in Washtenaw County and expanded throughout Southeast Michigan. We have a passion for keeping seniors safe at home. And we also have a passion for making sure that there is a safe environment for our caregiving staff and our additional staff. We provide a variety of services, personalized care plans, safety supervision, senior supervision, and end-of-life care. And we do all of that with our wonderful staff in people's homes. So again, thank you so much for having me.
No, it's great to have you, and it's wonderful the work you do. Really helping our seniors is critical, and I'm now in that league, so I personally appreciate what you're doing. In terms of finally getting a Medicare card really brings it to home. Milan, could you share about your organization?
Sure. Thank you. My name is Milan Gandhi. Our business is MedShare. We're based out of Southfield, but we operate throughout the state and now throughout the country. We are a mobile imaging business, medical imaging. So everything from x-rays and ultrasounds, CAT scans and MRIs, and everything in between. We provide those services in physician offices, as well as hospital rural sites, and most recently throughout the country in federal government facilities, including VA hospitals, military bases, and federal prisons.
Excellent. And congratulations on your success. It's great to see you growing and flourishing and things like that. So
thank you.
So the first thing I want to ask each one of you is, you've got successful businesses. Your top priority are your customers, your clients, taking care of people, helping them. How did cybersecurity sort of end up on your radar? What caused you to take action to say you had to improve on cyber? Breanne, did you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I can definitely start off. when I think about safety, senior safety specifically, I always thought of hands-on safety. And then I started reading and started researching a little bit more. There have been some data breaches in some local companies in our area specifically. And as a small business owner, I'm always trying to figure out strategically how to keep not only my seniors safe and my caregivers safe, but to make sure that their data is safe as well. And so that kind of had me start thinking, how could I take a more proactive approach to handling sensitive data, right? And so another example was a cyber attack that happened in the news. It was a large US-based fast food franchise. They experienced a ransomware attack, and it closed 300 of their locations, not for long. And there was no personal information that was shared by these terrible bad actors, these hackers. But there was revenue loss, and there were anxieties that were heightened because of this attack. And because we're part of a franchise, and I'm part of a larger organization, as we've talked about, Rick, I just felt like I had something that I had a role in this, and I needed to make sure that as a franchise owner, I was keeping not only my clients, my community, and my staff safe, but I had to keep my fellow franchise owners safe as well. And that was kind of what started me on this path.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And how about you, Milan?
Yeah, so we've been in the healthcare business, which is a lot of data, a lot of personal data, always has been. This business is a family business and it's 43 years old. So we've been through the stages of technology and society, from all paper to bringing about some level of technology in the 80s and 90s, and then into now today, a totally paperless and all digital world. And we've seen how the protections over sensitive information have become more and more complicated and difficult to make sure that it's done, especially when you move from an on-premise server to a cloud-based server, and then you have users accessing that cloud-based data, whether locally inside of our network or outside. The challenges get more and more complex. And with the flexibility today of technology, that flexibility comes at a price in terms of security, or in terms of being aware of the security risks. So healthcare has always been a targeted area, I would say, for cyber attacks, and we're very well aware of it. We've had a couple of near miss attacks, and those have simply heightened our resolve to make sure that we are doing whatever we can. When we became SensCy clients, I was very proud that our initial SensCy score was pretty good. We had work to do, but we weren't bad, and that was actually kind of relieving, because we do feel like we try to do a lot, and we spend a lot of time and resources on our cybersecurity. But I think we've always known that we're a target. We're healthcare. We keep people's information, their personal information. So it's been something we've always focused on, and now more and more than ever.
No, I appreciate that. And I thank you both for being clients. Hopefully we've been great partners working with you on making you safer in terms of your organization. And you've done well in terms of following the path and the recommendations and improving that SensCy score. So that's a big positive. So one of the things I want to ask, though, is you're leading your organization, the impression your employees get, because we ask you to do awareness training, we do phishing exercises, we talk about policies. You've got busy people and people working hard. And one of the things you sometimes wonder about is, how do they deal with this? What do they think when you're asking them to do more? So Milan, did you want to kick us off on that one?
Yeah. I would say it's a little bit of a mixture. What I'll say is that employees today seem more and more attuned to seeing the difference between phishing and legitimacy. Doesn't mean that they're totally foolproof, but they have the eyes for it. And I think it's because the more and more of our workforce that has always had email in their life and always had spam and things like that, the more it's sort of second nature for them to recognize it. On the other hand, when we ask them to do training that we now do regularly through SensCy, as well as to change our practices, we are right now in the middle of instituting multi-factor authentication onto all of our users and our networks at the recommendation of SensCy. It's not impossible, but it definitely takes some hand holding. And more than anything, people are really comfortable with the way they use technology when it's habitual. And when we try to change the way that they use or interact with technology or access technology, it's really a real drag sometimes. You know, I got to do what to log in? Come on, can I just have this? And we want to get away from, and we have, I think, successfully gotten away from the world of writing your password down and sticking it to your monitor. You know, that I will say we have been guilty of that over the years, many of our users, and we're now finally away from that. But that's really the enemy of good cybersecurity is practical workarounds that people find in an effort just to make their lives simpler, but in doing so, threaten the security of the network. So I would say the challenge has been getting people to understand why this is so important and getting them to want to do it and need to do it. And I think we've mostly succeeded. We're getting there.
Great. Well, thank you. Breanne?
So from our perspective, our employees love to learn. They're usually in a space where they're learning more about disease-specific training, behavioral learning, things like that. And so when we came to the table with our SensCy training, they were super excited about it. It was something that was a little bit different. It was something that they didn't quite understand, of course. And they were truly surprised at how much information that they did not know. The monthly training, it's short, it's fun, it's interactive, and we have an opportunity in our Wednesday morning management meetings, our leadership meetings, to talk about some of this stuff, about people walking in to our organization that they may have not known. People walking through the organization, they stop them now. They're asking more questions. They're hyper aware to make sure that they're keeping our clients and our caregivers' information secure and safe. And it also kind of has bled over into their personal lives. They're making sure that they're not downloading anything they're not supposed to. They're taking their own personal data management seriously. And that is really what it's all about, is making sure that we're not only protecting the business, but we're protecting our employees in so many other ways. So it's been super helpful.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, both of you sharing those experiences, because in fact, that's what we try to share with you as clients and everyone we talk to, is having the training is, it is an additional item for people to do. But as I explained to people, though, it's actually, I view it as a free employee benefit, because everything they're going to learn in those trainings, they should be taking home to their spouse, to their kids. All those other things are affecting their lives. And it's 6 times a year that we do awareness training, and 6 times a year for phishing exercises. So it's not that burdensome, but it's a real value in terms of hopefully getting people up to speed and seeing new things. Because every employee, almost anyone online, is going to have a phishing attack every day in some fashion hitting them. And so you have to be ever vigilant. So I appreciate that you've got folks kind of geared up to take on those challenges. So another question I want to ask is, now that you've sort of gotten in, we've gotten you into the cybersecurity world, and you've been very proactive about engaging it, what have been a couple of the biggest surprises? What surprised you about cybersecurity that you never thought of, in terms of good or bad?
Well, I've learned from the training, from the awareness training, about the, so I learned something in awareness training that then happened to us in real life, where the training went like this. It's Friday at 4 p.m. and somebody in accounts payable gets an email that says, hey, real quick, I got to get this wire today, but the wire instructions changed, but we got to get it done today. And it's obviously a bad guy spoofing an email trying to get you to wire money where it shouldn't go. And I said, gosh, that's interesting. I guess that could happen, but it just was more theoretical. And then about 4 months later, it happened. I got an email on a Friday afternoon before a holiday weekend, asking me from a guy I was wiring money to, meaning this was already going to happen. It was a vendor. And he said, hey, by the way, we changed our wire instructions. New bank, just do me a favor, change it to here, but make sure you get it done today. And because I was trained, I called him and I said, hey, did you change your wire instructions? No, I didn't. And I said, okay, well, here we go. And I alerted everybody, and the wheels started turning after that. But that was something that surprised me, that how simple that was. It wasn't sophisticated. Nobody hacked into anywhere. They weren't, this wasn't Mission Impossible stuff. This was simple. Taking advantage of the fact that it's a Friday before a holiday weekend and I might be my guards might be down, and I might say, oh gosh, I do need to wire that money. Oh my gosh, okay, let me send it to the right place. Really taking advantage of the psychology of the potential victim. That's something that was interesting to me, that so much of this is psychological in nature, and how we as users respond to those type of stimuli and what we do with it.
Yeah, there's a couple pieces. It's wonderful that worked for you, and it shows that you're a great student. You actually paid attention and implemented those things well. So you get a gold star, Milan, in addition to everything else, for seeing how that works. But just a couple things, as you mentioned, I'd reinforce. One is most cyber incidences are because of humans, not technology. It's something we do or didn't do that we probably should have or could have been alerted to. So I emphasize that. But the other part you did really well, that I would highlight to people in terms of spotting that wire thing. In addition, quite often they would have a phone number to say, if you got questions, call this number. You went separately and called the number you had, not something that was in the document that might have been the problem document.
Interestingly, the phone number in the email was a fake number. It was meant to get me there. And before I made any call, I Googled that phone number based on my training. And you're right. And when I saw, gosh, who does that belong to? I called the cell phone of the vendor that I knew and asked him directly.
Yeah, so that's the second trap. A lot of people might just call that phone number, and the bad guys actually have whole phone banks to answer the phone the right way to go with the fake wire. Wow. So that's where it gets really scary. So you get 2 stars. You got another star for figuring out to call directly. Call on the number you had, not the number you were given.
Yes.
Breanne, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, something very similar happened to my husband and I. We were closing on our home recently, and a spoofing incident happened where someone was a bad actor acting like he was our real estate agent and asked us to wire our information somewhere. And again, same as Milan, we made sure that we were asking questions. It just didn't seem right. We had just gone through that specific training, and we were very, very aware. And I think that they catch you, like Milan had mentioned, they catch you at a vulnerable time, right? They always catch you when you're kind of rushing. There's someone that says that they're going to be out of the office, and you want to believe them because you're already busy. We're all running at 1,000,000 miles a minute and are just trying to get things done. But what I feel like surprised me is the emotional piece of cybersecurity, just slowing down, reading the email addresses, making sure that I understand who I'm communicating with at all times, and just being hyper vigilant. And I'd say the other surprise around all of this, I think of movies, I think of Anonymous, the dark web, all of these nefarious things going on out there. But I never thought that a small business could be as affected by any of this. And the more stories that I hear from you, Rick, from David, from your team, the more vigilant we become. I always thought that it was the Fortune 500 companies that were at the most risk, or our government entities. I didn't think of us being small businesses being in the limelight of these criminals. And they're constantly trying to attack, and they're really, really good at it. And they can breach in several different ways. And those learning opportunities have helped me understand are different breach points along the way. And I feel that our security is that much better because of our awareness.
Oh, that's great. And just reinforce a couple of your points. Small business is a huge target. It's actually a better target for the bad guys than big business. For a couple of reasons. One is they assume people won't have defenses the same way because no one has the resources as much as a big multinational company. But the other part is it's easier for them to get away with things. So I like to give people the illustration. If they attacked a big company for $10 million, that would make headlines. It would get the FBI involved. It would get all these other cybersecurity agencies involved, law enforcement at a high level. But if they attack 1,000 businesses for $10,000, if someone doesn't connect all the dots, it's just going to be another report filed. It'll get some work done on it, but it's going to be hard to pursue that case, given the resources that are limited. So that's why it's really important to recognize being a small business actually makes you an easier target for the bad guys. And your other one was great. The only thing I'd reinforce on your comment about talking about the real estate one is be careful on even the things you think you might be able to click on. Like DocuSign is a new thing that they're actually faking DocuSigns right in line with what you said. So they're looking for real estate closings, they're looking for other transactions, and you might get an email saying, "Congratulations on your new home, but you forgot to sign one paper. Please just sign this and send it back." And the trap's actually in the DocuSign piece of it. So wow. Yeah, that's great where you're being vigilant, though. Both of you guys have done fabulous in terms of looking out for that.
Yeah. Breanne, is there anybody in your, excuse me, I just want to ask a question, Breanne. I'm curious. Yeah. Is there anybody in your business who can send money out other than you, like wires and things like that? I find that's one of the things we think about a lot is controls over transactions and making sure that they're as limited as possible.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this in Mackinac, Milan, and there are a few people, few decision makers that are able to send money out of the business, but they are in direct connection with me. And it's just so important, right? Because we've got to make sure that we protect our cash flow so that we can take care of our employees in the future. And that's a huge part of all of this.
Yeah.
So, and a common one to look out for that include all your staff, and this happens to my team. They get texts from me saying, "Please go out, rush out and buy a bunch of gift cards," and then provide me all the information on the gift cards. So it's not just email. It's just not the executives. Everyone can get hit with one of these. So this is where you want to make sure your staff knows, don't run out and buy all those gift cards.
Don't.
So given your experiences, though, I'd be interested, could you each share we've got a lot of people listening here to this webinar. What would be your recommendations to them that they should be thinking about or potentially doing?
Milan, did you want to start?
Sure. I'll always talk. So what would be my recommendation is there's a handful of very simple things that I think we all are guilty of at different times when it comes to small business cybersecurity, mostly related around access to sensitive information, who has it, how do they get it, and where can they get it from, and through what channel, VPN or otherwise, and then how do they get it, passwords, password protection, and things like, and I say multi-factor authentication like I'm some expert. We're starting that now, but I'm very excited about it. Everybody will have an app on their phone called Okta, and they'll have to double two-factor authenticate using their cell phone and using. They have the choice to use a text message code or to use the app to authenticate. And I think that there's a handful of small things you can do that make you much harder to attack. And like you said, it's a chronic condition. You're always going to be, you can't be healthy, just healthier. But the bar to be healthier isn't as high as you might think. And my advice is that if you get, serious about it and get some help, with some effort, you can be much, much more safe. And, when you're running away from a tiger, I don't have to be faster than the tiger. I just have to be faster than you. And so, cyber attackers are looking for the weakest links. They're not, they are cyber criminals. They're not hardworking people. They're going to look for the easiest way to make a buck. So just don't be the easiest one.
Great. Breanne?
So I'd say my recommendation is at more of a 10,000 foot view look at this, because I'm not an expert in this in this world. I think of my SensCy partners as just like my accountants, just like all of the other people that I count on to keep me safe in all different realms. I'd say identify strengths and weaknesses and help your SensCy team mitigate those risks that you're open to. Our SensCy advocate is amazing. She has been a great advocate for us and is constantly helping us get better. Unlike Milan, who started off really well with his score, our score was pretty low, and we increased our score to 720, and we continue to increase, and I'm very, very proud of that. I think it's important to continue to work on this. There's always more to learn. There's always more to invest in, and I'm just excited that we took that step in order to get healthier in this space.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and just to elaborate, because it's come up a couple times, is the concept of a SensCy score. I'd be interested in your impressions on that, but we actually offer a free SensCy score to anyone. So anyone viewing this webinar, I encourage you to go get it. You can see that indicator on my screen, but if you go to SensCy.com, it's 39 questions. It takes a half hour. It's absolutely free, no obligation. You'll get a score back. It collects over 100 data points, and it's based on best practices in the United States to let you know where you stand. And both of you got original scores, but both of you have improved dramatically. So it's actually really good to see. So it's fun to see people saying, yeah, I got a better score now. That's the kind of attitude we like to see.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is we had a starting point, which I was pleased with, like I mentioned, not as bad as I thought it could have been. We've improved over time. But interestingly, if we stop improving, our score goes down. And I suppose that makes perfect sense. The bad guys keep getting better and better at what they do. So if we don't keep up, relatively speaking, we're getting worse off. And the score to me really indicates it's health. It's our health score. Where are we on the range of health we could, cyber health we can be at, and where do we want to be and how do we get there? And what I appreciate is the tools that we're given by SensCy they're not easy, but they're simple, and meaning that it's not that hard to understand what you got to do. Can you do it? Okay, fine. That's up to us. But you're not giving us things that are unachievable. They're very achievable, and they will improve our cyber health and our cyber protection. And it's up to us to actually do it.
Right. Well, I appreciate
said it better myself, Milan.
Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us. And as you said, Milan, particularly in your business with the HIPAA information, same with yours, Breanne. I mean, you're in businesses where there's large consequences and risks to having your data get out. And that would be a very bad thing in many different dimensions. So it's good you're so proactive on this.
Yeah, I agree. If we were a construction company, we have our money to lose and potentially the data and money of our vendors and our suppliers or whomever. We take care of thousands of patients, just like Breanne's company, and we have their data too. So we have an obligation to be vigilant about this.
Yeah, and as you said, it's a chronic condition. Like I use the diabetic analogy, but you can live a good life. If you're diabetic, it's insulin, diet, and exercise. Here, it's good cyber hygiene practices like awareness training, phishing exercises, policies, multi-factor authentication, good things like that. So we're about out of time. Just any closing comments from each of you? They're used to me wrapping up things. I want you guys to wrap things up today. What do you have to say about cybersecurity, and are you feeling better than you did before? It sounds like you do.
Well, I would say that, a year ago, I might have said, oh, cybersecurity. What a pain in the neck. And as I've, opened up my mind and our employees have really engaged, it is an employee benefit. I agree. We're not just vulnerable at work, and the business is not the only thing we need to protect. And our employees take these practices home with them. And we all get phishing emails every day. I think we don't even realize how many phishing emails we get. We just delete because we're getting very good at recognizing them quickly, but maybe not all of them. And it just takes one to get through to really hurt. And so I think everybody needs continual training, and the bad guys will come up with new stuff and new methods. And as long as you're continually re-educating, we will be educated on the newest bad guy tactics. And so that's what I really subscribe to. That's what I really want to instill in our employees, is that you need to keep up with the bad guy tactics. Otherwise, you will be the victim of it.
Sure. And I'd say, I am just proud that I'm part of a network of franchisees that are also looking for information. I'm able to give them this cyber information, challenge our vendors, challenge our partners, and my fellow small business owners to get on board with cyber health. Like Milan, I didn't necessarily think that this was as big of an issue a couple years ago. And now, just given what I've seen in the news, given what I've learned from you all, I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm ready and willing to share all of my experiences with everyone around me. So just learning another tool in my toolbox as a small business owner.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for taking this time and for helping share your experiences on cybersecurity. You're great role models. Not only have you done great things personally in terms of learning things, how to adapt, but your organizations are stronger and better. So wonderful role models. And again, great representation of the Small Business Association of Michigan, in addition to helping SensCy and helping be great clients with us. So thank you so much. And thanks for everyone watching this.
Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you.